In this video, let's look at WPA in each Wi-Fi generation, how it evolved. So now we talked about, prior generation, we had something called web very early, and then that is replaced by T-Keep, in that way, before 2009, those generation of wireless 11A, B, G, we are saying they are like a legacy technology. In that way, 11N is the sort of first technology, involves some multi-user MIMO, some advanced features. So that way, when that particular technology came in 2009, what we call high throughput, so WPA was there, with supporting T-Keep RC4. With introduction of WPA2, so we started supporting AES. In that way, move forward, the next biggest generation of wireless, what we call Wi-Fi 5, based on 11 AC amendment. So that's only supported in 5 gigahertz. So that generation as well, we had WPA and WPA2 support. So subsequently, Wi-Fi 6 came in 2019 based on the 11AX. So still the frequency band predominantly remain 2.45 gigahertz. So then this particular standard onward, they deprecated use of T-Keep. In that way, WPA2 is a sort of a one option you can enable in the security part. So WPA3 introduced in 2018, that has brought into Wi-Fi 6. In that way, if you want higher security, you can implement WPA3. So now in 2020 time frame, a new spectrum allocated for Wi-Fi, which is 6 gigahertz. So now 11AX has been extended into 6 gigahertz band. So Wi-Fi Alliance point of view, that's known as a Wi-Fi 6E. So in Wi-Fi 6E, you can only configure WPA3. That's the one main difference. In 6 gigahertz, you cannot configure legacy WPA or WPA2 in the 6 gigahertz band. In that way, if you want to use 6 gigahertz band, that has to configure for WPA3. It's a mandatory. So now, latest generation, what we call Wi-Fi 7, came in 2024 based on a 11BE amendment. So now into this particular generation, so if you want to get 11BE data rates, so you have to support WPA3 across all the band. That means not only WPA3 with the higher security, that means with the 256-bit kind of security. So now what we call GCMPA is 256, which is the encryption method. So now if your product is getting a Wi-Fi Alliance security certification, so your product has to support this kind of method. So now, even though next generation is not yet available, the following Wi-Fi 7, people already talking about something called Wi-Fi 8, which is targeting around 2028. Again, security point of view, we are not very clear, any major changes happen, going to be proposing, but you can anticipate WPA3 remains, sometime GCMP 256, or sometime maybe higher kind of security length. But in general, in that way, WPA 1, 2, and 3 evolve through the generations. So like this. So that way now going forward, so WPA3 is the key kind of security. So now if you want to summarize all this particular security enhancement, you can put into 3 different categories. So what we call WPA3 personal, WPA3 enterprise, and if you want to enable secure guest access kind of network, like public Wi-Fi, so you can configure a security standard called Enhance Open. So now if you want to deploy it today, so now one option is in the personal scenario, you can deploy WPA3 personal. But now challenge is all your client devices should support this particular technology in order to connect to that SSID. So in that way, the biggest hurdle of getting WPA3 into enterprise network is you may already have some legacy client base. So that does not support WPA3. So if that is the case, what is the option? So the Wi-Fi Alliance basically introduce another mode called mix mode or transition mode. So that way in the personal scenario as well, so you have some mode called transition mode. So in this particular method, WPA3 client will connect to WPA3, WPA2 client still connect to same SSID, they're supposed to go to WPA2. So some compatibility issues has been detected with the legacy client. In that particular sense, in the personal scenario, Wi-Fi Alliance recently introduced another method called compatibility mode, WPA3 personal compatibility mode. Idea is just to make the legacy client not freaked out seeing multiple different security method on the SSID. At least they can connect happily, and newer client will understand a different way of getting the higher security advertisement. That's what we call compatibility mode. In that way, personal scenario, you have these three choices. So now enterprise scenario, which is the most important if you are managing enterprise wireless network, WPA3 as well, you have a mode called WPA3 enterprise only mode. In this particular mode, only WPA3 client can connect. In the WPA3, if you're really focusing about the security and very sensitive kind of environment like military, so they introduce another higher security mode within the enterprise called 192-bit mode. That way, if you really want the quantum resistant kind of security, there's a one particular mode providing 192-bit security, authentication, encryption, message integrity perspective. So you can use this 192-bit mode, but it is only for a highly sensitive kind of environment and not every organization. That way, if you are typically managing an enterprise wireless, you mostly deploy WPA3 enterprise, not 192-bit mode. Now again, the challenge in here, so you will not able to support legacy client. So then if you want to support legacy client as well on your SSID, you have to bring it a mode called transition mode. So that means on your SSID, we are configuring WPA2 and WPA3. But now remember, in 6 GHz, you cannot configure this transition mode, mix mode. In that way, 6 GHz, it's only WPA3. 2.45 GHz, you can configure this transition mode to make the legacy client still able to connect to the SSID. So now if you have guest SSIDs, if you really want the higher security, so the mode called enhance open. So this is a new security method introduced by Wi-Fi Alliance. You should configure enhance mode, enhance open mode. But the challenge is legacy client may not understand this newer security requirement. They may not able to connect to your guest SSID. So if that is the case, they again keep a mode called transition mode. But in this particular mode, there are a couple of drawbacks because you have to creating two SSIDs. One with open SSID, traditional no security, one with enhance open, and then you can link those two together. That way, client supporting WPA enhance open will go to enhance open security. If they don't know enhance open security, they can go back to the legacy SSID. One SSID will be hidden. In that way, users only see the open SSID, not the enhance open secure SSID. That will be like a not broadcasting its name. It will be a hidden SSID. But that still basically consuming airtime. That way, transition modes are not ideal in the enhanced open scenario because you are wasting a little bit of a airtime. Now, these are the newer security method. If you configure wireless today, probably you have to configure one of these particular method. So what this thing will be addressed, they will all providing something called protected management frame. That means not only data frame, they are protecting some critical management frame as well. So that way, this is the most important part, preventing like denial of service kind of attack. In that way, all this security method will provide you that. The other thing, it will provide something called perfect forward secrecy. That means even some key compromise, only that particular session will be compromised. Future or past kind of session detail cannot be decrypted by compromising this key. In that way, PFS is another sort of important feature available across all these particular security methods. So now WPA3 personal has addressed something called offline dictionary attack. You're in the WPA2 personal networks, anybody can basically go through a password dictionary and try to brute force your password. So they will be able to successfully do it by simply capturing the four-way handshake kind of traffic. But now in the WPA3, they mitigated that problem. That's one other thing in the personal kind of setup. So now we talk about enterprise. If you really want the quantum resistant Wi-Fi security, so they introduce a mode called 192-bit mode security. So you can use that. So all these particular things documented in the Wi-Fi Alliance certification, WPA3 specification. So you can publicly search in the internet. You will find this document will clearly identify. So now in a separate video, we will look at now if a SSID is configured for these many different security method, which method client will choose, how to basically they decide which security mode to be used, and what is known as WPA3 enterprise, what is known as WPA3 personal. Probably it's good to have some detailed understanding. So we'll cover that in a different video.